In this video, I'm going to try to convince you that the world is better off from allowing for international gains from trade and international trade. I'm going to do this using ppfs, production possibility frontiers, for both countries, the United States and Vietnam. So remember, production possibility frontiers, we use those in the second module, of course, and that was to capture the total the decisions of where a firm or a country could produce, and to capture the trade-off between those two goods. So the way that I created these, this is our information on how much one worker in each of these countries could produce. All right, I'm going to turn this into a ppf. Okay. Now remember, each country has 2 workers, and so I'm going to put, I could put all 2 workers in the United States producing jeans, and in total, those 2 workers could produce 200 pairs of jeans. If I put all 2 workers to work in pharmaceuticals instead, then I would get 20,000 vials of pharmaceuticals. And so we can use that to make our ppfs here. So here I would get 200 pairs of jeans and 0 amounts of vials if I put both workers there to work to jeans, or I could put both workers to work making pharmaceuticals, and I could get 20,000 vials and 0 pairs of jeans. And so this is going to be the ppf, the production possibilities frontier, for no trade for the United States. The United States can choose anywhere along this line of how many vials of pharmaceuticals they would like and how many jeans they want, right? They can't get out here anywhere. This is unobtainable out here, and here is not technically efficient. If you're on the ppf, remember that's technically efficient. They're doing the best they can, and they can choose one of these places, okay? Right now, we don't need to know where they're going to choose. We just need to know that these are their option set, their choice set of where the United States could choose to maximize their utility. Vietnam. Right. If we put our 2 workers to work in jeans in Vietnam, they would get 1,000 pairs of jeans. If they put 2 workers to work making pharmaceuticals, they'd get 2,000 pharmaceuticals, and we can plot those 2 points out. 2 workers in pharmaceuticals would give us 2,000 pharmaceuticals and 0 numbers of jeans. If we put our 2 workers to work on jeans, we get 1,000 pairs of jeans and 0 pharmaceuticals. Again, this is the ppf no trade for Vietnam. They can choose only along that ppf in terms of what they would want in the combination of jeans and pharmaceuticals to max their utility. They can't go out here. Great. Now, if we allow our firms to specialize in the good that's what they had the comparative advantage, right? We can show the gains from trade. So up here, I've done where the United States is going to specialize in the good which they have the comparative advantage, pharmaceuticals. They would get a total of 20,000 vials of pharmaceuticals and 0 pairs of jeans. So they would be right at this point here in terms of production. So the U.S. would produce, this would be U.S. production if they specialized only in making pharmaceuticals. Vietnam's going to specialize in jeans, the good in which they have comparative advantage. They would get 1,000 pairs of jeans and 0 pharmaceuticals. So Vietnamese production would be right here. Vietnam production. But in total, the world is going to have 1,000 pairs of jeans and 20,000 vials of pharmaceuticals. Okay, so they're going to have more. And that's going to open up a much wider option set, okay? So the ppf with trade. Now all these options out here on the orange line are available to the United States, right? Because in total we could get 20,000. They can get 20,000 and 1,000, or somewhere in there if they traded. Okay, they can either have 1,000 or 20,000 when they trade 1-to-1 between these 2. Okay, ppf for Vietnam, right? Would be somewhere on here with trade, and so they have a much wider option set. And right, so the point is that all these choices out here that the U.S. couldn't get to are now available. All these choices out here that Vietnam couldn't get to are now available, and they can get more stuff when they go out there on these ppfs with trade, and you get more stuff, and your utility is going to be higher, and everyone's better off because of it. Right, so if this is voluntary and we can have these mutual gains from trade where both countries can be made better off by specializing and then trading their goods in international trade.